Hi, 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 hi. Kahit sino, na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. Victims of love, I love you, love you, to say the side. No, no, no. Victims of love. He want to sleep with me. I said there only. I don't like. Hey, let you know. Good evening, sir. Good evening, good evening. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Uwi ka na? home na? Want to go home na? Meng? Want to go home na, Meng? What's movie? TV. Where is the remote? Where is the remote, Meng? Huh? Where is the remote? The remote is where? Saan yung remote? Meng! Where is the remote? My goodness, don't have the remote. Oh, remote, guys. Saan the remote? I can't see the remote. Ay, this is... Ayun. Ning, nakita mo remote natin? Ayun. I got you. I got you. I love you. Isn't me hug me too? It's the way, it's the way I'm sorry.
Extra rice. Ngayon, may extra rice na, sarap ulam, daming sauce, ang mag-savor, sulit po sa meals. 99.
Wala akong kinalaman talaga dyan sa binibintang niya sa akin. Walang kinalaman yung tao na yung naging kasama natin sa party. Lalo na sila Jiroy, sila si Lupanginan niya, Erwin Tolpo. Yan, walang kinalaman talaga yan.
Sino-sino nga ba ang mga babaeng na iuugnay sa kilalang negosyante?
Actress Gretchen Barreto breaks her silence after she was implicated in the disappearance of dozens of cockfighters or sabuneros. Her lawyer, Alma Malyonga, said the whistleblower's allegations against Barreto are nothing but plain suspicion, and only because of her close connection to Atong Ang. Malyonga also claims it was an attempt to extort money from her client to exclude her from the list of suspects. Malyonga insists Barreto has no knowledge of or involvement in the missing Sabuneros case. The actress and businessman Atong Ang are suspects in the case after a whistleblower accused them of links to the disappearances.
Malacanang is now looking into possible conflicts of interest in joint venture deals between Villar-owned Prime Water and local water districts. Press Officer Claire Castro says the deals were struck while Mark Villar was still heading the Public Works Department. The number of deals of Prime Water surged in 2019 when the Local Water Utilities Administration, or LUA, was still under the DPWH. LUA Administrator Jose Moises Salonga confirms their probe covers potential irregularities, including possible issues involving the board of directors. Salonga adds concerned parties have been put on notice and reforms could come in the next few days.
It's not about finger pointing or blaming. The issue there is how do we put water in those people's pipes? Paano tayo magpaparating ng tubig sa kanila? Kasi the finger pointing can follow.
The defense team of detained former President Rodrigo Duterte looking to submit to the International Criminal Court the Senate committee report on Duterte's arrest as part of their plea for their client's interim release. That committee report pointed out alleged irregularities in Duterte's arrest. ICC prosecutors have opposed Duterte's request. ICC Assistant to Counsel Attorney Cristina Conti says it seems Duterte's lawyers are just rehashing claims their client was kidnapped by the Philippine government.
The defense really wants this interim release request, and they're focusing on irregularities in the arrest as basis to support the interim release. The main question is, do you need interim release? With this sort of rehashing of the quote-unquote kidnapping narrative, questioning the legitimacy of the arrest, the defense seems to be arguing the other issue of lack of jurisdiction of the court.
A House prosecutor asserts the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte must proceed in the 20th Congress. Representative Jonathan Keith Flores said the trial is not optional and the Senate has no power to dismiss it. That's contrary to earlier claims by Senate President Francis Escudero. Flores said the trial will likely begin around July 28 or 29.
Kasi ang obligasyon nila under the Constitution is really to hear and decide. Yun naman na nakasabi doon sa Constitution. So, kung follow lang nila yung Constitution, there is really going to be a trial.
Earlier today, Senator Judge Risa Ontiveros urged Presiding Officer Francis Escudero to administer the oath to new senators of the 20th Congress who will serve as judges in the impeachment trial. But Attorney Reginald Tongol maintained no oath-taking will take place until the 20th Congress formally opens. Ontiveros slammed this, saying Tongol does not speak for all senator judges. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council is now on blue alert as Tropical Depression Bising moves closer to northern Luzon. Assistant Secretary Rafi Alejandro of the Office of Civil Defense says they have been conducting pre-disaster risk assessments to get ahead of the storm's impact, especially in the Ilocos region, Cagayan Valley, and the Cordillera.
Pwede na sila ng mga resources, no? In-case na kailangan sa LGUs na makaranas ng epekto, matinding epekto, bagyo. So, prepositioning with DSWD ng mga food and non-food items, ay tuloy-tuloy ko nagawa yan. And finally, yung ating coordination with different local government units through our regional offices, no? Para talagang ma-monitor at mabigyan solusyon agad. Merong problema o aberya.
Parts of Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, and Mabuyan Islands are under signal number 1 because of busing.
Never miss a story. Unlock exclusive access to uninterrupted streaming and premium news content. Subscribe to ANC 24/7 on YouTube and join ANC Prestige today.
We have something for you guys. Oh, ang daming food! Burger! Tayo na.
Philippine President Marcos Jr. remains open to renewing the country's membership in the International Criminal Court. Administration spokesperson Claire Castro says the president had previously expressed openness to rejoining the court, but she clarifies there are no ongoing discussions on doing so.
Ang sinabi po at ang suggestion po ng UN rapporteur, ito po ay magandang suggestion at pag-aaralan po kung talaga pong dapat pa rin sumapi, right? Maging mag-join sa ICC at i-ratify yung ibang international human rights law. So pag-aaralan po ito mabuti natin po.
Yes.
UN Special Rapporteur Irene Khan had called on the Philippine government to reopen discussions for reaccession to the Rome Statute. Khan says this would significantly enhance human rights protection in the Philippines.
Former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte marks his 100th day in detention at the International Criminal Court. Davao City 1st District Representative Paulo Duterte insists the former leader is not a criminal but a man who served the nation. The Duterte patriarch stands accused of crimes against humanity over his years-long campaign against illegal drugs.
The House prosecutor belies claims the articles of impeachment against Philippine Vice President Sara Duterte will be refiled once the 20th Congress opens in late July. Victoria Tulan has tonight's top story.
All those in favor of the motion.
A week after the Senate Impeachment Court returned the articles of impeachment to the House of Representatives, incoming Senator Erwin Tulfo disclosed there might be a plan to refile the impeachment complaint in the 20th Congress. Tulfo and other incoming senators were in the Senate on Thursday for a briefing and pictorial.
I think that the House will really refile it. That's what I heard from my colleagues. They'll refile it in 20th Congress.
The question is, will the refiling not violate the Constitution, which says no impeachment proceedings shall be initiated against the same official more than once within a period of 1 year?
Sabi nila, pag ibinalik, they will refile it. I don't know how they will do it in the Congress. Hindi ko maintindihan eh. Yun ang let's wait and see. And then we'll see where we go after that.
House Impeachment Prosecutor Representative Jonathan Keith Flores said there is no such plan. He added the House has just certified that the complaint was filed in accordance with its rules and the Constitution and that there is no reason to think about filing it again. The Senate Impeachment Court has yet to comment on the matter. Meanwhile, Tulfo and incoming Senator Kiko Pangilinan said the impeachment trial should continue in the 20th Congress.
Siyempre, tingnan na lang sa Congress para ilang tao, di ba? Para mawala din yung agam-agam.
Ay, Jesus Lord.
Of the PP, once na, sige, we're ready, we'll fight. We're not hiding anything. Continuing body ang Senate, therefore, the 20th Congress, as jurisdiction at ang tungkulin natin is to try and decide the case.
Former Senate President and incoming Senator Tito Soto again questioned the return of the articles of impeachment to the House.
Ang isang judge, hindi pwedeng mag-motion sa sarili niya. Motions should come from the defense panel or the prosecution panel. Kung meron kayong gustong gawin, ilagay nyo sa impeachment rules.
Meanwhile, the House Prosecution Panel spokesperson slammed his counterpart, Senate Impeachment Court spokesperson Attorney Reginald Tonggol, after the latter statement that They expect the Vice President to file a motion to dismiss.
Why is he hinting? Why is he telegraphing? It is so inappropriate. And question, he is the spokesperson of the Senate. So we can assume he is speaking the minds of the Senate.
ABS-CBN is still waiting for Tonggol's reaction. Victoria Tulad, ABS-CBN News. Supreme Court petitions relating to the impeachment trial of Vice President Duterte have yet to be tackled. This was revealed by the SC spokesperson Attorney Camille Ting following questions on the court's actions to petitions seeking to block the trial. The SC says the public will have to wait until the court comes back from a decision writing break on July 1st before deliberations on the Duterte petitions can start.
Two Manila politicians score a win a month after the Philippine midterm polls. Meanwhile, the Philippine Elections Commission says the Duterte Youth Party list can still appeal the cancellation of its registration. Joe Manahan reports.
Representative Bienvenido Penny Abate Jr. has actually been re-elected Congressman of Manila's 6th District after the Commission on Elections 2nd Division voided the certificate of candidacy of his rival this Wednesday. The 2nd Division ruled that Luis Joey Chua Uy was not a natural-born citizen, but a naturalized citizen, contrary to what he stated in his certificate of candidacy. The poll body further explained that when Chua Uy was born in 1962, his father then was a Chinese citizen who later became a naturalized Filipino in 1967. His mother, on the other hand, was a Filipino citizen prior to her marriage in January 1944 to Uy's father, who is a Chinese national. This means Uy is not a natural-born Filipino since his parents were not Filipino citizens at the time of his birth. Aside from this, the division said Chua Uy was supposedly issued an identification certificate by the Bureau of Immigration, which also proved he had to undergo a process to attain his Filipino citizenship.
Pagkapanganak natin, wala naman tayong ginawa na kahit anong aksyon, hindi naman tayo nag-file ng kahit anong petition upang tayo ay maging Filipino citizen. Kaya tayong lahat ay presumed to be natural-born Filipino citizen.
All this considered, the Comelec Division said Chua Uy made a false declaration in his COC, which is considered a material misrepresentation under the Omnibus Election Code. The Comelec Division said Chua Uy is now considered a non-candidate. The votes cast in his name are now considered stray and should not be counted. Abante hailed the Comelec's decision as proof that the rule of law prevails. He also described this as a win for the Constitution. Meanwhile, the Comelec chief refused to discuss the possible party list groups that will enter the 20th Congress should the 3 seats allocated for Duterte Youth become void.
Mayroon kasi nagkiklaim na dapat ang makikinabang kami, yung mga nasa taas. Kasi bakit mo ibibigay doon sa mga nasa baba kaagad? Samantalang kami, meron kaming point something, may point ganyan. Mukhang premature natin talakayin ito. Sapagkat, entitled pa.
Saan na kayo na? Bilisan nyo na. Matagal pa naman yan si Clarice magbihis.
Garcia said there are 3 requisites to formally assume office in Congress, and these were not done by Duterte Youth. These include the nominee's proclamation, oath, and assumption to office, which will take place on the noon of June 30.
National Board of Canvassers ay sinuspend ang kanila pong proklamasyon kung kaya po wala po yung kauna-unahang requisites na yan o requisite na yan, and therefore pagdating po sa sa July 1 o June 30 mukha po hindi ma-apply yung prinsipyo ng Reyes versus the Commission on Elections. So magpapatuloy po yun yung kaso kung sakasakali man na ang kaso ay nasa Comelec pa.
So what will happen to the 3 vacant House seats? Garcia explained this will have to be filled up.
Hindi naman kinakailangan mapunan ka agad John, basta pat merong intensyon na mapunan yung mismong yung 3 seats na yan. Kahit iproklama namin sila kung ayaw naman silang kilalanin ng House of Representatives, we cannot dictate to the House of Representatives the total number of membership. Sapagkat when it comes to membership issues, sabi ng Korte Suprema, it is the sole prerogative of the House of Representatives.
Meanwhile, the poll body has ordered proclamation of Manila Councilor-elect Darwin Sia in compliance with a Supreme Court temporary restraining order. In an order dated June 18, the COMELEC en banc ordered Manila 2nd District City Board canvassers to reconvene within 5 days and proclaim Darwin Sia as councilor. Sia was earlier disqualified by the COMELEC en banc for having been convicted of a which constitutes moral turpitude. Chairman Garcia said they respect the Supreme Court's PRO. Job Manahan, ABS-CBN News.
Philippine President Marcos Jr. accepts more courtesy resignations of government officials as part of his ongoing performance review of agency heads. Among those stepping down are Presidential Legislative Advisor Mark Leandro Mendoza, Presidential Advisor on Military and Police Affairs Roman Felix, and PNOC Renewables Corporation CEO John J. Arenas. Meanwhile, several key officials have been retained, including GSIS President Arnulfo Veloso, Land Bank CEO Lynette Ortiz, and PhilHealth Acting President Edwin Mercado. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro says more names may be announced soon as the evaluation process continues.
The Marcos Jr. administration vows to crack down on thousands of illegal gambling websites in the Philippines. Administration spokesperson Claire Castro says authorities are working continuously to shut down illegal online casinos. Castro says these illegal sites have no safeguards to prevent players from developing a gambling addiction.
Ang problema po ngayon ng gobyerno ay marami pong illegal na gaming website. At meron na po silang 7,000 website na naipasara. Ito ay pinapaalam po sa DICT para po maipasara. Yun lamang po, kapag ka po naipasara, mag-iiba na naman ng website.
The Philippine Coast Guard issues radio challenges to a swarm of Chinese maritime militia ships loitering near Rosulu Reef in the West Philippine Sea. The presence of these ships and the illegal patrols of Chinese Coast Guard vessels are hurting the livelihood of Filipino fishermen. Daryl Sarmiento reports.
A drone suspected to be owned by the Chinese Coast Guard was spotted at around 4 a.m. of June 16, Monday, circling Philippine Coast Guard ships approaching the Hasa-Hasa Shoal. Initially, it was barely recognizable given its size and the pitch-black sky. According to the Philippine Coast Guard, no PCG drone was deployed at that time, raising the possibility that the Chinese Coast Guard was conducting surveillance operations. At least 50 Chinese maritime militia vessels were also monitored at Rosal Reef, located in the West Philippine Sea. Rosal Reef is approximately 128 nautical miles from Palawan and falls within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. In response, the Philippine Coast Guard deployed BRP Cape San Agustin, MRRV 4408, BRP Cape Engaño, MRRV 4411, in an aircraft to assert the country's sovereign rights.
For the Coast Guard vessels and the Coast Guard aircraft, challenge natin ito through radio. We informed them that their presence, their irregular movement, and their swarming activities and anchoring activities do not conform itong freedom of navigation. And this kind of behavior basically violate our sovereign rights in our own exclusive economic zone. So we keep on challenging them to tell us their intention and to depart immediately. But unfortunately, sa dami ng Chinese maritime militia vessels na to, wala ni isa sa kanila ang nag-responde sa ating aircraft and even for the Philippine Coast Guard vessels.
Meanwhile, a group from the Palawan United Commercial Fishing Association Incorporated, which had just returned from Hasa-Hasa Shoal, shared their experience. According to the group's president, they often yield to Chinese vessels present in the West Philippine Sea to avoid any potential conflict.
Parang nasanay na rin sila doon ng Chinese Coast Guard, kaya parang sila na lang news kung saan banda. Kasi alam na rin nila yung ruta ng Chinese Coast Guard kung saan sila katulad ng Ayungin, sa kabinang nandun talaga sila lang yung naka-stay.
Both Captain Herminio Atay and his crew stayed at the Hasa-Hasa Shoal for a week and was able to haul in 1,000 kilos of yellowfin tuna, amounting to 80,000 pesos, ready to be transported to Metro Manila. They said to prevent Chinese forces from seeing them, they would fish in the middle of the pitch black night. At some point, he said, they feel like thieves in their own country.
Parang hindi daw makakita nila ba? Parang gano'n. Parang mag-akaw ka. Gabi na ang hanap buhay. Dapat sana maganda na kung wala din sila. Araw-gabi ang hanap buhay namin. Pero nandiyan.
Despite the fears and uncertainties of fishing in the West Philippine Sea, the Filipino fishermen persevere out of necessity and for the sake of their families.
Ay, hindi may iwasan. Darating talagang ang takot, kaya lang tiis lang. Kakayanin ang takot para lang ng dami nag-asa rin. Pero mga anak namin, may pinapaaral pa.
The fishermen of Palawan are the beneficiaries of the pile installation at Hasa-Hasa and Kanduli Shoal. According to them, each pile could produce around 500 kilograms of fish. They added that if there were no Chinese vessels present in the area, they could catch even more fish and earn a better income. Para Sarmiento, ABS-CBN News.
Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is now in Japan for an official working visit. He left for Tokyo Thursday to attend the World Expo in Osaka, in which the Philippines is a participant. The president is also scheduled to meet with business groups as well as with the Filipino community there. He returns to Manila this weekend.
Iran vows not to surrender in its air war with Israel. The Philippines has joined other nations in the scramble to evacuate their citizens from the war zones. But as San Fernando discusses, the process is not easy.
The apartment where Filipino caregiver Diana used to stay was one of those damaged as Iranian ballistic missiles continue to rain on Israel. Diana survived because she was at work, but her two Filipino companions at home were not as lucky. They went back for some belongings in the middle of the evacuation and were among the critically injured. One of them underwent long surgery and remains unconscious, while the others suffered a broken arm.
Masakit po na ganun yung nangyari sa kanila. Masakit po. Nakakatakot sa kalagayan nila na ganun. Na ganun yung nangyari. Pero thankful pa rin ako kay God kasi nung time na yun, talagang na-save ako.
The airstrikes began last Friday after Israel launched an attack on Iran, allegedly to stop its nuclear weapon development, something Iran denies. Iran retaliated, and after almost a week, the air war continues. U.S. President Donald Trump has called on Iran to surrender, but Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei immediately insisted that they will not back down. Because of this, several governments have begun evacuation efforts for its citizens. The Philippines is now arranging the repatriation of 178 Filipinos from Israel. And since Israel's Ben Gurion Airport remains closed, Filipinos will be transported by land to Jordan.
Today, it stands at 178 who have requested for repatriation, and we are processing their documents. 28 are travel ready, so we are set to mobilize. That is why myself and Assistant Secretary Benny and another and onward to Amman, Jordan.
In Iran, the Philippine Embassy in Tehran is targeting to repatriate 25 Filipinos. They include 11 OFWs and 3 of their relatives, 6 Filipino permanent residents in Iran, and 5 relatives of Philippine Embassy staff. The evacuation in Iran will also be by land, since airports are also closed. According to the embassy, they now have access to buses, but there are other problems.
For the past 5 days, talagang ang haba ng pila ng mga sasakyan sa mga gasoline stations. So, ginawa ng Iranian government, limit nila ang bawat sasakyan ng only 15 liters bawat karga ng gasolina. May mga buses nga, pero wala namang gasolina. Then we can start repatriating them.
has not been affected by airstrikes. This is the road toward the border of Turkmenistan, estimated to be about 13 hours away from its capital, Tehran. The embassy also faces problems with intermittent internet and communication. Some staff are now sleeping at the embassy, along with Filipinos hiding from the explosions. But even the area around the embassy was not spared from airstrikes.
Wala naman talagang safe na lugar dito sa Tehran or anywhere in Iran. Lahat halos yata naaabot ng missile at drone at ng Israel. Yung Iranian Broadcasting TV Center, that is about 3.5 kilometers away from the embassy. So sa ngayon po, wala pa po ako nababalitaan na na-injure or namatay. Awa ng Diyos, lahat po kami dito so far ay safe.
Inayo mo naman ito, noodles.
One of Iran's nuclear reactors was the latest target of Israel, as Israel vows to destroy all of Iran's nuclear and military capabilities. According to the Department of Foreign Affairs, only one signature is needed to raise Alert Level 3, or voluntary repatriation and travel ban in Israel and Iran.
Instead, the Secretary of Affairs po na today, itinman na niya yung approval ng pagkakit kasi gagawin natin for both countries, voluntary repatriation. Alala natin sa mga kababayan natin na may repatriation program, kaya napagsamantala nila.
The Philippine government guarantees that every Filipino coming home will receive 150,000 pesos in financial assistance, along with livelihood and employment support as part of its integration program. But many Filipinos still refuse to come home, including Diana.
Sabihin na natin 150,000. Sa taas ng bilihin sa Pilipinas, hindi po yun. May dalawa po akong anak na nag-aaral. Meron pa po akong tinutulungan ng mga pamangkin ko. So, may practical na lang po, na dahil sa move. Kaya mag-stay ako dito.
Ay,
Sam Hernandez, ABS-CBN News.
Labas.
Launched a barrage of missiles at Israel on Thursday, wounding more than 200 people and damaging a hospital in a southern city. Israel struck back with airstrikes on key Iranian nuclear sites, including the Arak heavy water reactor. Israeli officials said the reactor was evacuated and posed no radiation risk, while Defense Minister Yoav Gallant vowed a strong and continued response. The attacks mark a dangerous escalation in the country's long-standing conflict. The UN nuclear watchdog is monitoring the situation closely.
At least 28 people are killed by a Russian missile strike on a 9-story apartment building in Kyiv. The building was hit Monday evening during a large-scale barrage of over 440 drones and 32 missiles. Rescue teams are working non-stop to recover bodies from the rubble. City officials have declared a day of mourning. Russia's intensified summer offensive against Ukraine has targeted both military and civilian areas. Philippine shares closed higher in anticipation of lower interest rates. The details in this report.
Very makulit.
Asian markets declined Thursday as the U.S. Central Bank, though keeping rate cut hopes alive this year, warned America's tariffs could stoke higher inflation in the coming months. A gauge of regional equities also dropping on fears the U.S. could get more involved in the tensions between Israel and Iran. Philippine shares, though, bucking Asia's slide with expectations for a central bank rate cut coming through in a much-needed relief for investors already worried about developments overseas. The BSE's main index climbing 0.3%, capping the day's session still at the 6,300 level.
Our central scenario continues to be that there will just be one more cut after today's cut. So that will bring us to 5% by the end of the year.
In corporate stories, Alliance Global of Tycoon Andrew Tan spending 59 billion pesos this year for its key projects. AGI says CAPEX, though lower than last year's 75 billion pesos, will go mostly to Megaworld for its continued expansion drive across the country. As for Silicon Renewable Energy Corporation, it finalized today its share subscription deal with Indonesia's Pertamina NRE. The deal, priced at $120 million, will see the Indonesian state-owned firm getting a 20% stake in CREG. Next to the Gokaway Group, Robinson's Land enters into a property for share swap with its commercial REIT arm.
The transaction is valued at 30.6 billion pesos and involves 9 Robinsons malls with over 300,000 square meters of leasable space. RLC in turn gets 3.8 billion primary common shares of Robinsons Commercial REIT. In the dividend space, we get Double Dragon approving a regular cash dividend of 2 pesos and 40 centavos per share to preferred shareholders of record as of July 2nd. Payout was set on July 14th. Topis Holdings, meanwhile, setting it at 10 centavos apiece to shareholders of record as of July 4th, payable on the 18th of next month.
Never miss a story. Unlock exclusive access to uninterrupted streaming and premium news content. Subscribe to ANC 24/7 on YouTube and join ANC Prestige today.
Sometimes the loudest feelings are the ones left unspoken. You felt it, haven't you? That quiet intention in the way he looks at you. The warmth in his voice when he says your name. The way he shows up. Not just when it's convenient, but when it matters. And yet, he hasn't said it. He hasn't called it love. No grand confession. No dramatic I love you. Just silence where the words almost live. But here's the truth most people don't talk about. Not every man knows how or when to say what's in his heart. For some, love is not shouted from rooftops. It's held quietly in the space between moments. It shows up in glances, in pauses, in the way he lingers just a second longer after saying goodbye. He may not be ready to say it, but that doesn't mean he isn't feeling it. And if you pay attention, you'll see it. Because when a man is waiting for the right time to tell you he loves you, he speaks in signs, in consistent presence, in small, selfless gestures, in the way he protects your peace, in the way he remembers what others forget. His heart may be cautious, but it's already choosing you every single day. You might wonder why he's holding back. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's timing, maybe he's been hurt before, or maybe he's just afraid of losing you if he's misunderstood. But while he wrestles with when to say it, he's already showing it, over and over again, in the smallest ways that feel like everything. This isn't about playing games. This isn't about decoding mixed signals. This is about real emotion, the kind that builds quietly and intentionally, the kind that waits until the moment feels right. And if you've been questioning whether he feels what you feel, the answers may already be in front of you, hidden in plain sight. So if you're wondering whether the man in your life is secretly falling for you, and simply waiting for the right moment to say those 3 powerful words, this list is for you. Let's walk through 15 deeply emotional, honest, and revealing signs that he's not just into you. He's waiting to tell you he loves you. But until then, he's showing it. Every day, in ways you might have missed, until now. 1. He gets nervous when the topic of love comes up. When a man is genuinely developing feelings for someone, but hasn't yet found the courage to say it out loud, his body language and behavior often speak volumes. One of the clearest signs is how he reacts when the topic of love comes up. You might notice him shift uncomfortably, avoid eye contact, or even try to change the subject entirely. It's not because he's disinterested. It's often the opposite. He's nervous because the subject hits close to home, and he's not ready to let his feelings slip out accidentally. He might laugh it off, or make a joke to deflect, especially if someone else is teasing or bringing up relationships in a group setting. His voice might crack slightly, or he might fidget with his hands or phone. These are small but noticeable signs that the topic of love isn't neutral for him. It's personal. And when something feels personal, it also feels risky. He doesn't want to say the wrong thing. He doesn't want to expose how much he cares without knowing how you feel too. You may even notice that he becomes more thoughtful or quiet when people start discussing serious relationships or emotional connections. It's like he goes inward, maybe imagining what it would be like to be with you, but he's still trying to work up the courage to turn those thoughts into words. He might ask indirect questions like, what do you look for in a guy? Or do you believe two people can fall in love unexpectedly? These are subtle feelers, his way of getting closer without fully jumping in. At the core of it, his nervousness isn't a red flag. It's a sign that he's emotionally invested. It shows that love isn't just a casual idea to him, especially when it involves you. He's waiting for the moment when he can be sure, not just of his feelings, but of how you might receive them. And until then, the topic of love will always make him a little uneasy, because what he wants most is hidden between the lines. 2, he remembers every little thing you say. When a man truly cares about you, even if he hasn't confessed it yet, he pays attention in a way most people don't. One of the clearest signs is that he remembers every little thing you say. It could be something as small as your favorite coffee order, the name of your childhood pet, or a random story you once told him about a bad day at school. While others might forget those details within hours, he holds on to them like they matter, because to him, they do. You might casually mention that you're stressed about an upcoming deadline, and without asking, he checks in the night before just to say, good luck tomorrow. That's not random, that's intention. Or maybe you once told him how much you love stargazing, and weeks later he sends you a photo of a night sky, saying, this reminded me of you. Those little things aren't little to him. They're quiet proof that he listens, absorbs, and remembers. And it's not just about memory. It's about emotional investment. He's mentally filing away pieces of your world because he wants to understand it. He wants to connect the dots. He wants to know what makes you happy, what makes you laugh, and what moments shaped you. He might even remember things you don't, like how you mentioned a specific date that means something to you, or the exact words you used in a story that moved you. What makes this sign so powerful is that he's not doing it to impress you. Most of the time, he doesn't even bring it up directly. He just shows you, through his actions, his timing, and the way he interacts, that your words aren't just passing sounds to him. They're memories, they're meaning, and they're quietly stitched into his growing feelings for you. When a man remembers the things you forget you've even shared, it's not just a sign of good memory. It's a sign that he's listening with his heart. 3, he always makes time for you, even when he's busy. When a man is truly interested in you, one of the most telling signs is that he carves out time for you, even when life is pulling him in 100 different directions. He might be swamped with work, family obligations, or personal goals, but somehow you never feel like an afterthought. That's because when someone genuinely cares, they don't wait for free time to appear. They make it. You'll notice that he doesn't leave your messages on read for hours without reason. Even if he's in the middle of something important, he'll send a quick ill reply soon, just caught up with work because he respects your presence. If he has only 15 minutes in the day, he might spend it checking in on you or calling just to hear your voice. Those moments, short or long, are deliberate. They're his way of saying, you matter. It's never about grand gestures. Sometimes, it's just him rescheduling plans to meet you or showing up to support you at something important, even if he had to shift his entire calendar to make it happen. Maybe he's exhausted from a long day, but he still calls at night because he promised he would. Maybe he's traveling, but he makes sure you don't feel distant. This kind of consistent effort isn't casual. It comes from a place of priority. When someone sees you as important, you won't have to fight for their time or attention. You'll feel it in how they respond, how they show up, and how they make you feel seen. no matter how chaotic their schedule is. At the end of the day, we all make time for the people who matter most. So if he's rearranging his life, staying up late just to talk, or making sacrifices to spend time with you, it's not just sweet, it's intentional. That's not just attention. That's affection in action. 4. He looks at you when you're not looking. There's a special kind of glance that happens when someone is falling for you, and you're not supposed to see it. When a man looks at you when you're not looking, it speaks volumes more than words ever could. It's a silent confession, a moment where his guard drops because he thinks you won't notice. And that's when you see the truth in his eyes. He might steal glances when you're talking to someone else, or when you're laughing, completely unaware of him. In those moments, he's observing the little things. The way your eyes light up, how you push your hair behind your ear, or how your nose crinkles when you smile. To everyone else, these may be ordinary things, but to him, they're everything. They're the reasons he keeps coming back. Sometimes his gaze is soft and full of admiration. Other times, it's deep and almost unreadable, as if he's silently wrestling with the feelings he hasn't said out loud yet. He might quickly look away when you catch him staring, brushing it off with a nervous laugh or pretending to focus on something else. But that flicker of vulnerability, that's real. It's not about obsession. It's about being mesmerized, quietly drawn to you without needing a reason. He watches because he cares, because he's trying to memorize the moments when you're your most unguarded, natural self. He sees beauty in your stillness, in your chaos, in your quiet. When a man looks at you when you're not looking, it means you're on his mind, even when you're not trying to be. It's instinctive, it's pure, and often it's one of the first ways he reveals that he's feeling something deeper than he knows how to say. Sometimes, love begins not with a kiss or a confession, but with a stolen glance when no one's watching, especially when that glance comes from someone who's slowly realizing.
Embracing nuclear means choosing a future that's safe, stable, and secure. Energy we can count on, not.
He can't stop looking. 5. He subtly compliments you more than anyone else. When a man is developing real feelings for you but hasn't said the words yet, his compliments often come wrapped in subtlety. He may not shout it from rooftops or post dramatic declarations on social media, but if you listen closely, you'll notice that he compliments you more, and more sincerely, than anyone else does. And it's not just about your appearance. He might say things like, "You always know the right thing to say," or "I like how your mind works," in passing, almost casually. But those aren't just throwaway lines. They're windows into what he's noticing, what he's admiring quietly, while trying not to make it too obvious. He doesn't matter to impress. He observes to appreciate. Unlike generic compliments from others, his are tailored specifically to you. He points out things that most people overlook. How you speak with kindness, even when you're tired. How you always keep your cool under pressure. Or how you light up when you talk about something you love. These compliments feel different because they come from someone who's truly paying attention. He may also disguise his praise as teasing or playful sarcasm. He might say, "Of course you remembered. You always do," with a grin, but it carries real admiration underneath. Or he'll compliment your creativity by saying something like, "I would have never thought of that. You always surprise me." His words carry depth, even when delivered lightly. What matters most is that you hear it more from him than anyone else. Others may tell you you're pretty, but he'll say you're captivating. Others may say you're smart, but he'll say your ideas change the way he sees things. He finds ways to affirm you, quietly, consistently, because you matter more than he's letting on. When a man can't stop praising the things that make you you, even in small doses, it's not just a habit, it's a sign he's feeling more than he's ready to say. and his compliments are the soft footsteps of his heart moving closer. 6, he brings up the future, with you in it. When a man is truly into you, one of the clearest signs is how he talks about the future. Not just his future, but a future that includes you. And often, he doesn't even realize he's doing it. It starts in the little things. He might say, "We should go there someday," or "You love this place." That one word, "we," reveals more than a dozen love confessions ever could. He begins to picture plans, dreams, and experiences with you by his side. Whether it's something as simple as next weekend's movie night or a far-off vacation idea, his language subtly includes you and what's ahead. It's not a formal proposal, but it's the beginning of an emotional commitment. Because when someone can imagine you in their future, it means they value you in their present. You may notice he talks about things like where he wants to live one day, what kind of home he'd love, or what kind of life he's trying to build. And then hell look at you, waiting for your reaction. It's as if he's leaving space in those dreams for you to step into them. He's testing the waters, gently opening a door to see if you'd be willing to walk through it with him. Sometimes it's more playful. Imagine us being old and grumpy together, or you'd be the strict parent for sure. These lines may sound like jokes, but they come from a deep place of hope and affection. His future isn't a distant concept anymore. It's becoming something he wants to share. And even when he's scared to confess his feelings outright, hell let him slip through these future-based conversations. Because love, when it's real, isn't just about now. It's about later. So if he's casually, or even unconsciously, building dreams with your partner, don't underestimate it. He's not just thinking about you, he's beginning to plan with you. 7, he opens up to you more than to anyone else. When a man starts to open up to you more than he does with anyone else, it's not just a sign of comfort, it's a sign of trust, depth, and emotional attachment. Most men are taught to keep their guard, to stay composed, to only reveal the surface. So, when he chooses to go beyond that and share what's beneath with you, it's a deeply personal gesture. He might talk about things he's never shared with his friends, or even his family. Not just the big dramatic events, but the quiet, vulnerable pieces of who he is. Childhood insecurities, secret dreams, private fears. He starts to let you in, slowly at first, like testing the waters. And when you listen without judgment, he opens more. It's those late night conversations where his voice softens, where he talks about how he felt the first time he failed, or how he's not as strong as people think. He might tell you what scares him about love, about success, or about being good enough. These aren't just words. Pieces of his inner world, and he's choosing to hand them to you. Sometimes he'll catch himself mid-story and say something like, "I don't usually talk about this," or "I don't know why I'm telling you all this." That's your sign. It's not that he doesn't know why. It's that it feels safe with you. Natural. Like a space where he can finally be real, not perform. And it's not about being dramatic or always serious. He might tell you his guilty pleasures, the things he's embarrassed about, the quirky thoughts he keeps to himself. You get the unedited version of him, the raw, honest, completely human side. When a man opens up to you like that, it means he sees you as more than just someone interesting. He sees you as someone important, someone who listens, who sees him clearly, and who makes him feel like he doesn't have to wear the mask anymore. In a world that tells him to stay guarded, you become the one person he doesn't want to hide from. 8, he gets quiet when emotions run high. When emotions run high and he suddenly goes quiet, it's not always a sign of detachment. Sometimes it's the loudest sign that something is stirring deep inside him. Many men, especially those who feel things intensely but aren't used to expressing those emotions, tend to retreat into silence when they're overwhelmed. If if you notice that he clams up during meaningful or emotional moments, especially those involving you, pay close attention. That silence could be packed with unspoken feelings. Maybe you just opened up to him about something personal, and instead of rushing to respond, he just looked at you, his mouth opening slightly, but no words coming out. Or maybe someone brought up relationships, or commitment, and instead of joining the chatter, he just sat there, thoughtful, reserved, almost lost in his own world. That isn't indifference. It's a pause filled with processing. Silence is sometimes his way of feeling everything all at once, without knowing which part to express first. He might fear saying the wrong thing. He might worry that if he speaks, you'll hear the truth in his tone, a truth he's not ready to admit yet. So he stays quiet, not because he doesn't feel anything, but because he feels too much. His quietness is often where his heart is the loudest. He watches more carefully, listens more closely, and reacts internally. Even if his face stays calm, he's likely weighing every emotion, every word, every possibility of what saying the wrong thing could mean. In that stillness, there's tension. A hesitance that comes from caring too much, not too little. And if you give him space in that quiet moment, instead of filling it with pressure, you'll learn something rare. Trust. So the next time he falls silent when feelings rise, don't assume he's pulling away. It may be the moment he's trying hardest to hold himself together, because the person in front of him matters more than he ever expected. 9. He tries to protect you in small ways. When a man truly cares about you, even if he hasn't confessed it yet, his instinct to protect you often shows up in subtle, everyday moments. He doesn't need to throw punches or act like a hero in some dramatic way. His protectiveness is quiet, natural, and deeply telling. It's how he looks out for you when you're not even thinking about being looked after. Maybe he insists on walking into your car, even when it's just a few steps away. Maybe he reminds you to eat when you've been too busy, or stays up with you while you're working late just to keep you company. These gestures may seem small on the surface, but they come from a place of concern, care, and emotional investment. He might notice when you're getting uncomfortable in a social setting and change the topic or shift the conversation to take the pressure off you. Or if someone's being too pushy or rude, he steps in, not loudly, but firmly, letting people know, without saying it outright, she's not alone. It's not about controlling you. It's about making sure you feel safe, supported, and seen. Even in texts, you'll feel it. He checks if you got home okay. He makes sure your phone has enough battery when you're out. If you're sick, he sends things that'll help, or shows up with soup and silence, just to be near. Sometimes he'll offer advice, not to lecture, but to protect you from repeating a mistake you might regret. And even if you don't take that advice, he won't guilt trip you. He just wants to know you're okay. When a man shows care in these small but consistent ways, it's because he's thinking of you as something more than just a passing presence. His heart is involved, even if his lips haven't said the words yet. Protectiveness like this isn't casual. It's deeply personal. It's his quiet way of saying, I've got you, even when you don't ask. 10. He teases, but always respectfully. When a man really likes you but hasn't said it out loud yet, teasing often becomes one of his favorite ways to connect. It's playful, light-hearted, and filled with energy. But if he truly cares, his teasing always comes with one important ingredient: respect. That balance between fun and kindness is what sets his behavior apart from someone who's just joking around casually. He might poke fun at your obsession with iced coffee, or laugh at how seriously you take your astrology signs, but he never crosses the line. His jokes are never aimed to hurt, belittle, or embarrass you. Instead, they're designed to make you laugh, to see you smile, and more importantly, if he ever sees that something made you uncomfortable, he'll back off immediately. often with a soft apology or a change of tone. That's because your comfort matters more to him than the joke itself. What's even more telling is that his teasing is often filled with affection. He may call you dramatic in the middle of a story, then smile as if to say, "But I love that about you." His words might sound cheeky, but the look in his eyes tells you he's completely drawn in. His teasing isn't mocking, it's a form of flirtation that carries warmth and attention. And he pays close attention to how you tease back. If you throw something playful at him, he enjoys it. Not just because it's fun, but because it means there's a bond forming between you two. It's like your own private language, only the two of you share. What makes this sign powerful is that it shows he wants to keep things light, but still meaningful. He's creating a space where laughter and connection coexist. And when a man walks that line carefully, always watching your reaction, always adjusting his tone, it's not just because he enjoys your company. It's because he values you and doesn't want to risk losing what could become something real. 11. He checks in on you when you go silent. When someone cares about you deeply, especially a man who hasn't quite voiced his feelings yet.
So smooth. What's new?
Just my new Mach 3 razor, Gillette Mach 3, with skin-covered blades that glide through hair for irresistible smoothness. Gillette Mach 3.
Silence from your side doesn't go unnoticed. In fact, for him, your quiet moments say even more than your loud ones. So when you suddenly stop texting, don't show up online, or seem a little off, he doesn't just sit back and wait. He reaches out. He checks in. It might be a simple, "Hey, everything okay?" or "You've been quiet today." But those words carry weight. They mean he noticed. They mean he was thinking about you. And most of all, they mean your absence leaves a space in his day that he can't ignore. He doesn't ask because he's nosy. He asks because he's invested. Because when someone becomes important to us, their silence feels like a missing heartbeat. He wants to make sure you're all right, not out of obligation, but out of genuine concern. And the moment you respond, you'll see the quiet relief in how quickly he replies, how gently he responds, or how the conversation shifts to support and care. Sometimes he won't even ask a direct question. He might just send something light like a meme or a voice note, anything to pull you out of whatever space you've drifted into. It's his way of saying, "In here. You don't have to talk, but I'm not going anywhere." This kind of behavior is subtle, but powerful, because anyone can talk to you when things are fun. But someone who notices when you've withdrawn and makes an effort to find you in that quiet is someone whose heart is quietly reaching for yours. So if he checks in when you disappear, it's more than just a caring habit. It's a signal, a sign that he feels your absence, because your presence has started to mean everything. 12. He delays dating others, but won't explain why. When a man delays dating others but doesn't explain why, it's often because his heart is already quietly attached to you. He may not have said it out loud yet, but his actions tell a different story. While his friends are swiping right or going on dates, he seems uninterested, unavailable, or just not feeling it right now. But if you look closer, it's not that he's avoiding love. It's that he's already found someone he could love, and he's waiting to see if the feeling might be mutual. He may say things like, "I'm just focusing on myself," or "I'm not in a rush." But when you really look at the timing, you'll notice a pattern. Every time someone shows interest in him, he distances himself. Every time his friends suggest he get back out there, he shrugs it off. That's not random. It's because in the back of his mind, he's holding a quiet hope for you. He doesn't want to commit to someone else and later realize he missed the chance to be with you. And maybe he hasn't told you because he's unsure where you stand, or because he's still building the courage to be honest about his feelings. But in the meantime, His heart isn't open to just anyone. It's already orbiting around someone he values more deeply. What makes this sign powerful is that it's not for show. There's no performance here. He's not avoiding relationships because he can't find one. He's choosing not to pursue one. And choices like that don't come from nowhere. So, if he's turning down dates, hesitating to talk to you, or always not ready, while still being emotionally present around you, it's not confusion. It's quiet devotion. A silent wait. Not for just anyone, but for the person who's already taken space in his heart.
Nag-ayos na. Kinuberan niyo sa sasakyan? Teka daw muna siya.
Ha?
Wala, tulog na muna. Malapit na tayo alis, 3 hours na lang. Tagal kasi sabi ko, nasaan na kayo? Ang tagal nyo. Kina, matulog na.
Lagi ka nagbo-voice message, no? Palang nawawala.
Kasi nga may lakad tayo.
Alam namin.
Ba't di kayo? Sabi ko, mag-usapan mo, bumalik kayo agad. Nang oras na. Kung hindi tayo alis, hindi man ako magganyan. Kailan ba ako nanggugulo sa inyo?
Uuwi naman. Ano yun? Hindi uuwi. Alam nang aalis.
Huwag mo nang patayin yan dyan.
Bye guys. Thank you so much. I'm gonna end. Thank you, HMM. God bless you.